Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 102, vernacular-wise, recorded on Thursday, July 9th, 2020. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt. And let's get right on into the news.
Well, the day has finally come. We're actually recording this on Thursday, like we said, and this morning, Zoho finally released their new logo for Zoho CRM. It's so nice to see it join the rest of the Logolinism logos that they put out. And funny thing is, Tyler, this is different than what we thought it was going to be, because they kind of they put this out. They had a version of this, which was more of a line of the two hands touching each other, but now it's this nifty little infinity symbol that's kind of hands. It's kind of nice. I like it.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely in line with kind of where the rest of their logos are going. I think, they put together a little article here about they wanted to represent infinity because there's infinite paths in a customer journey. So it looks like they kind of put some thought into it and wanted to make it symbolic of something that is associated to the CRM.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And they also actually did a really kind of nifty video on this as well. So if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, I'm going to go ahead and play this so you can see 48 seconds. What they wanted to do here. It's got this cool music. Everything how they came up with this. Pretty nice, actually. We're looking at taking nice taglines that are There you go. What do you think?
I like it. It's a good kind of intro to it. All the symbolism there is definitely nice.
Yeah, I think it's good. So, we got that out of the way. I'm glad it's here. We've just got a couple more to go. Zoho Forms and just a few others kind of stragglers that are out there. I mean, the big question is, will the kindergarten block Zoho logo ever get changed? I don't know. We will.
That's what I'm waiting for.
We will see. All righty, and then Zoho Books also had some updates, some nice additions here. I think what you've got a lot of local things. You got some Saudi Arabia they had some changes in VATs, and but what I'm really kind of excited about as I skimmed through all this is you can now, when you're in a custom view or a current view, go ahead and do an export of that. So whatever columns are in that view, you can do an export to XLS or XLSX format, which is just super nice if you want to really get something out of Zoho Books pretty easily.
Yeah, and it's definitely nicer. I mean, of course, you could pull everything out and recreate your filters in Excel and kind of move those records to a new sheet. But it's a nice little quality of life update there that definitely will be appreciated when you're kind of maybe you want to make some mass updates to some items or, kind of pull out some invoices and review them in a spreadsheet format or, do some reporting. It's definitely nice to be able to easily pull out just the data that you want to see.
Yep, and then they also added this ability to add a default income account in your chart of accounts for bills and expenses. So when an invoice is created from an expense for a bill, it's automatically going to be associated with this account. That's kind of nice. In the past, it's always had to be mandatory, and it's something you really always wanted it to go to the same place anyway. So just some honestly very nice, clean little updates to Zoho Books. So happy to see that these are there. And then Zoho Sign really got some major updates. So we ended up with 6 or 7 different new things that they've added into Zoho Sign. I don't know if you had a chance to look at these, but pretty nice stuff, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them that stood out. It's nice to be able to customize those email templates that go out a little better than before. Before you could do a little customization, maybe some branding here or there, but you're really able to make your signed or your kind of intro to the document being that email template look a lot more branded and custom now. They've added the ability to do spouse signings. You can add someone as a spouse. So if you're working in real estate or anything where you kind of need multiple signatures, you want to define one person as a spouse, which would basically mean that you might be sending to the same email address, right?
Yeah, that's the nice thing, is the ability to send to the same email address with different signatures on it. It's huge. I mean, that's bigger than spouse signing. I mean, I can see that all the way across the board for several people. I'm not sure how you get verification on that, right? Because you're sending to one email to know that the person actually signed it. But it is a nice little enhancement anyway.
Yeah, sometimes I think with digital signature, just going off of email, right? I mean, anyone could sign as long as they have your email account. Yeah, so I've always thought it's kind of a little bit of a Wild West. I mean, they're just as binding as a normal contract, but without a real wet signature, I mean, how do you really know?
Well, and I think most cases in a wet signature, unless it's notarized or witnessed or something like
That's
that,
true.
You never really know about it as well. Also, two other ones I've got to mention here. So automatic cloud backup. This is kind of interesting in that you can now have both the completed document and the certificate of completion automatically go to any of your cloud storage. And I went ahead and I set this up. It's got WorkDrive, Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive. They're all there. Even old Zoho docs as well. So as soon as the document's signed and completed, it automatically drops them into that folder for you. So kind of just like extra backup for your stuff.
Yep, which never hurts.
No, it never, ever hurts at all. And then what I think is a really cool feature, but only Zoho could name it this, they've got the vernacular signing experience. So in the vernacular that I'm used to, this kind of fits in with vernacular wise. What they add wise to things. I wish they had added wise to this. It just would have been all the better. But what this means is that you can now set a specific language for the recipient, and those sign fields will actually show up in the native language. So pretty cool. I mean, it's just an extra little checkbox here. So I'm sending something to, someone who I guess, even though, you figure the contract might be in one language, at least the fields that say signature and date and those kind of things will be represented in the native language. So,
and it looks like they also convert over the communication email as well that kind of goes along with the document. So that's really nice. And I mean, we give them a little ribbing for the naming here, but it's definitely a really nice feature to have. I mean, doing business across borders is more and more common, and you want to be able to customize as much as humanly possible for the language that your client's going to be using.
So I haven't tried this. So you're thinking that they're going to kind of maybe use like a Google Translate and just try to translate the message you're sending over. So if you type,
it's interesting. It says the two things that it looks like are set to the language are communication emails and the signing interface. So to me, I would think maybe it's probably a little easier for them to do a language swap on their own email template than on your uploaded document. Right? So maybe they're going to swap out the language of the email and then of the sign fields themselves. But I do agree that the big trick here is that, the contract is still going to be in whichever language you wrote it in. So, there's still a little bit of a gap, but, maybe it's a step towards doing a whole doc conversion. I don't want to look ahead too far, but that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. But either way, this is just nice. They've done some really nice stuff. They also added radio buttons. It's a new signer field. So you actually can have radio buttons and people can choose from there. So you know what? They keep plugging ahead on this, and Zoho Sign's getting better and better. Also a bunch, just 7 or 8 new integrations that have been added in. This is all over the last few months. We've talked about a lot of these, but a lot of good stuff going on with Zoho Sign. I love this team. They're doing some great stuff. It's one of those products that quickly went from not very good to best in class, inside of a year and a half. So good stuff with Zoho Sign. All right, and then in additional Zoho news, Zoho Expense, they put out kind of an update roll-up of everything that's been going on with Zoho Expense.
Yeah, so there's kind of a variety of things here that have been updated, and this is basically from April to June, so kind of looking back and just doing a quick summary. So some of these might be repeated. But they've improved the ability to do some OCR or optical character recognition when you scan in a specific expense. So kind of read it and pull out some of the dialogue. A couple things around canceling or rescheduling trips right? So if you're expensing a certain flight, right, you can kind of like use expense as an interface to update your itinerary. There's kind of just a variety of mobile updates that also rolled out over the past couple of months. So they kind of summarize all of those here. Most of those are just kind of UI enhancements and maybe bringing some of the features in line with the browser app. But all in all, kind of a nice couple months for expense, getting some updates across the board.
Yeah, pretty good. And then Backstage, we kind of talked about this last week with a couple of other apps. I don't know which ones they were, but Backstage got some really nice updates. But the bulk of it is more about roles and permissions again. And last week, they rolled out new roles and permissions admin features in 2 or 3 applications that we were talking about. And it looks like Backstage is now on there. Well, they're kind of taking it to a couple levels, though, here. So for the portal, you can set up roles and permissions. And then for the brands, you can set up roles and privileges, or privileges for all these. And then for the event and for the team. So they're kind of taking this whole roles and privileges to another level. I wish they'd standardize on either permissions or privileges, depending on which one you're in. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely nice too to be able to kind of slice down. So if you had 2 different brands running out of Backstage, you might have totally different admins, right? So this basically allows you to get granular with all your different sets of permissions.
Yeah, so Backstage continues to improve. Another product that's really up there. And then Cliq, this is kind of interesting in reading through this. They have added, Cliq, as we talked about before, has added this new remote work section where if you're in Cliq, you can turn this on and basically see who's available in your organization, what they're doing. Well, they've added in this ability to do what is called an availability report. And it looks like they're looking at teams' habits, right? Am I reading this right? They're kind of saying, on average, Brett goes on lunch break at this period of time and he takes this. So this is going to kind of give you an idea as to when someone's availability will be most likely. Or do you think I can't really, it looks pretty cool, but I'm not quite sure. I know it's telling you, hey, here's their attendance, here's the users. Hard to say, but another way to help manage a remote staff.
It seems like it's tracking what they do historically and giving you insight into what they will probably do in the future.
I think so. Right? We're going to have to, it's funny. We actually haven't really used this too much internally. We turned it on, we played with it a little bit. But it definitely can give you some pretty nice insight into what's going on. I mean, if you look at what's this tracking and how it's tracking and what people are doing, I mean, this is more granular than you get for somebody that actually comes into an office, right? You would never really kind of see this kind of thing.
No.
So it's pretty interesting. So we'll have to play around with that and take a look. But it's interesting that they continue to drive down this remote work path. They're doubling down on it, and they've done it with Cliq, and it's kind of nice to see. Hey, and then in mobile app news, just something small, but this is again, I think this will be the last time we report on it, but sign in with Apple, which is like sign in with Google or any other of the application kind of, is now in Zoho Projects. And last week, I think it entered 2 or 3 other mobile apps. So I'm just going to assume that all of the mobile apps that Zoho has are now going to start rolling out this sign in with Apple feature if they're on iOS or anywhere, I guess. And we'll just leave it at that. But
yeah, and I know I was reading into this a little bit, and I did a kind of quick reading. It looks like Apple is pushing pretty hard for mobile apps on getting them to roll out sign in with Apple. I don't know if they've made it like a requirement yet to be on the Apple Store, but they're definitely pushing them that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes kind of the standard, not just for Zoho apps, but for really any app that you're using as sign-in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice. I haven't figured out how you associate it yet. So you've got your Zoho sign-in. You're going to have to associate, because it also has sign-in with Google.
Yeah, it's probably running through your keychain, your Apple keychain, which I honestly love for all my personal passwords because it's just my fingerprint, right? Like, I mean, even in something like 1Pass, you have to remember your password, but to be able to just finger onto, whether it's your phone or your computer and it just has your password on file, it's really nice.
Yeah, so anyway, that's it in mobile updates. Not really much there. And then we had a pretty interesting when I saw you put this in the doc with the implementation of the week. I had to do a double take because we kind of historically have disparaged this extension, but it looks like you found good use for the Kanban extension.
Yeah, and so this one for those, we've mentioned it a couple times, but in the CRM, the default Kanban boards are not too great in terms of their functionality, right? So you can take any of your modules and kind of turn them into a Kanban board, which a Kanban board is basically where you can organize a set of records, like for example, deals, and you can organize them into little cards in columns based on a pick list. So a common one, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you'll see there's a little template board for a deal flow, right? So you have a column for qualification, a column for needs analysis. Then you've got a couple cards which represent the deals in each of those stages. Now, the Kanban board in the CRM, this little extension, it's better than the default Kanbans. And they've made some improvements to it. It's not as visually intuitive as, for example, the Kanban in Bigin is, which oftentimes is where we kind of jump in and do some compare and contrast. But for the needs for this specific client, it actually kind of got the job done. So basically what we used the Kanban for was a specific little process that happens for some of their deals. So for example, maybe 1 out of every 5 deals that goes through their system is going to need a really specific proposal done, right? Where they're going to put together a whole technical proposal and they need to tap in effectively like an engineering team, right? Because this isn't stuff that the sales reps are going to put together. It brings in a whole bunch of information about, the space that's going to be worked on, a bunch of different conditions of that space, so they can put together the right set of products to match the customer's needs. And so basically they had a request where they were like in need of a pipeline for these proposals where, they could be notified when one of them is going to be requested, right? And then they wanted people to have visibility of the ones that I've requested. Where are they in the queue? And then they need their engineering team to have a way of prioritizing those requests and defining that, yep, I'm working on this one. This one's done, right? This one's up next. And really, when you have a system like that, a Kanban board is great, right? I mean, they came from manufacturing where, you'd start at the beginning of your assembly line and basically move things through this process with steps being done in a first in, first out fashion. So basically what we did is we added a little custom field into the deals called the proposal request status. And it's a simple little pick list. It just has request pending, requested, working, and complete. Then when they go ahead and when the sales rep chooses request pending, that basically triggers a layout rule in the CRM, which requires certain key fields that they need to have before they could ever start on a proposal, right? So there's about 10 fields that are great to have and about 4 that are 100% necessary. We can't even start if we don't know this information. And then at the same time, once they fill in those fields, it'll actually trigger an approval to management to approve that deal should get a custom proposal, right? Because they want to make sure that they're not flooding the engineering team with deals that don't actually need this style of proposal. So then once the management approves that deal for a custom proposal, it'll update the status to requested, which means that it's approved, and that puts it into the queue for the engineering team to start working on it, right? And then what management can do is come into the board and actually drag and drop and kind of move things into an order in the Kanban board where, once the team finishes one of their working proposals, they grab from the top of the requested column, move it into working, and then begin working on that proposal. And so that kind of sums up the flow. It's basically just like similar to any type of manufacturing line. You're just kind of moving things along through a set of steps. We built out some approval processes that kind of go in line with this to make sure that, things aren't being needlessly added into this process. And then we set up some key notifications throughout the flow to let both the engineering team know that, new proposals are on their way. And then we let the sales rep know, okay, this proposal is starting to be worked on, and then it's been completed, right? So it's pretty quick. I mean, it's just a 4-column Kanban board, pretty simple. And, yeah, it all kind of came together well in a way that, actually allowed us to use this extension where we really haven't been using it for a while. It's definitely still a couple little rough edges on it. For example, if you try to name one of your boards with a space in it, it'll put the HTML tags. So each one of the boards needs to not have spaces. There's a couple little oddities in there, but they've definitely improved it a lot since the last time that I looked at it. The whole UI is different.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I just looked at July 6th was the last time they did an update to it, which is pretty neat. And I actually, while you were talking here, going through this, I installed it and took a look, and it's a lot faster. It used to be super slow because it's really almost it is a third-party overlay kind of that sits there and has to go read the data and pull it in. But I'm not sure if it is anymore because it's exceptionally fast.
Yeah.
It instantly
There's a couple little oddities in there still, but overall, for what we needed here for kind of a simple Kanban, just to create a queuing system, right? And the fact that we're able to work in some approval processes and layout rules to it, it really did get the job done for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked with it. It looks good. Well, maybe I'll have to give this another view. It has to have been a couple of years since I looked at this thing.
Yeah, I think one more once over of the UI. If they could just copy the big in UI and just put it in this plugin, and then work out just a few little kinks, it'd be pretty solid.
Color coding is so big for this stuff too. It's funny, but if you look at things like Pipedrive, or what's the big one that everybody uses?
Trello is a big one for Kanban.
Trello. It's just elegant,
Yep.
It's just really nice. And you can really customize your cards because that's what you really want to do. You really want to customize those cards so that you're looking at some pretty good stuff. And they've added a lot of that here, though, from what I can tell.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Pretty nice. Good poll. Glad to have to dust that one off. Hey, and then for this week's reads, pulled this one from HubSpot. I like it a lot. What do you do when your prospects ghosts, which I guess is modern lingo for stand you up? So it's by Claire Murdough, and it happens all the time. We use these, at least I don't think it happens on the development side, but on the sales side, people will go in and they'll book a meeting. And especially using Calendly or any of the new booking software, people go in, they book these meetings, and you get on the call and they're not there. And so what do you do? Now, oftentimes what I'll do is in the middle, 5 minutes in, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just click and say, hey, I'm on the meeting, send an email out, and hopefully that jogs their memory and they come back. But this article kind of takes it a step further and talks about, okay, here's how you should respond. And then it actually gives some nice email examples. Some of them are funny. Some of them are just pretty straightforward. But it's pretty good stuff. The one that I think I want to implement here is, and I think we can set this up pretty easily. I have a feeling that if an hour before every single meeting, an email went out saying, looking forward to our meeting today at this period of time. Because what I'll find is when I do email people and they're 5 minutes late, 50% of those people get on within 5 minutes.
Yep.
They just completely zoned and they just completely missed it.
Yeah. People, I think a lot of the time people don't miss meetings on purpose, right? Every now and then you might have a change of heart. You don't want to talk to Zenatta anymore, and that's okay.
Right.
But I think, most of the time people are just busy. Right. Everyone's busy nowadays, and, I think we always have been. So it's most of the time an accident. So I do like that idea. Kind of shoot them a little ping.
Yes.
You know
how fragile I am too.
It doesn't take a lot to send Brett into a downward spiral.
Go into depression and start drinking again. I don't know. So if anything, maybe this will keep me off the sauce, Tyler. But
I do like some of the follow-ups they suggest too, that, if you are going to miss a meeting and maybe you're going to present some type of PowerPoint or proposal to them, you could follow up and send it over their way so they still kind of have it. They could still take a look. So they give some nice little kind of templates here that you can use just to drop in and kind of do a productive follow-up to a meeting that didn't happen.
Yeah, meetings are hard to get, and they're really saying, look, take a little time and put something out there that will get a response and they just won't go away. Here's what I was going to talk to you about, everything you just said. So nice ideas here, nice templates. And then at the very bottom of this, they've also got this little, if you want to give them your email address, they're going to give you a 25 proven sales email templates as well, which is exciting. But this is all good stuff. HubSpot does really good work, which is why we kind of go to them for our reads of the week. But, I think this happens to everybody. So I thought I'd point that out there. And also, if you're watching the video podcast, it gave me an opportunity to use the most interesting man in the world meme. One of my favorites. So
it's an oldie but a goodie.
Oh, you could never go wrong with him. Stay thirsty, my friends. All righty. And then over at Zenatta.com, we have got our blog using Zoho Inventory. Just kind of a quick overview of Zoho Inventory. If you're not familiar with it, go ahead and take a look. This will give you some good tips and tricks to get started. And then we've got a new YouTube video, Zoho CRM, how to customize your homepage. So it's, I think, a 5 or 6 minute video on how to customize your homepage. We're basically kind of getting through a whole bunch of basic CRM how-tos. Wayne's been putting those together. They're turning out pretty well. And then additionally, we've got 2 more resource guides that we found. And one of those resource guides is on Zoho Assist, and kind of a nice one. It's basically everything you need to know, all the features, kind of a nice breakdown of Zoho Assist. And then on Zoho Campaigns, we found one, which is how to set up sign-up forms in Zoho Campaigns. And this pretty nice overview on everything you would want to know about setting up these sign-up forms. I don't know where Wayne keeps finding these things, but he's digging. Every week, it seems like we find a nugget or two and we add it into our resource library, and it's all pretty good stuff. So pretty happy with all of those. And so take a look. We continue to grow it. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, new videos there all the time. All righty. And then let's move on to our application of the week. So I'm kind of cheating here, Tyler, because I covered this on episode 17, but I still think it's one of my absolute favorite extensions that we have. It's called Keywords Everywhere, and it's it works with either Google Chrome or Firefox. And if you are doing any sort of AdWords advertising, what this does is it goes in and it will tell you what's happening with those keywords. So if you type something in, it's going to tell you how much the average cost per click is, what the search volume is, all of those kind of things, and really give you an idea of, okay, maybe I should buy this keyword, maybe I shouldn't buy this keyword. Maybe it's of value to me, maybe it's not. And it really can help you kind of quickly just start putting in various combinations of words that may or may not apply to your business, and you'll get an idea of what it's going to cost you to get people to click on that. So it's some pretty valuable stuff. It's an extension we use all the time, So if I was to put in here, let's say something like guitar lessons near me. So if you do the guitar lessons near me here, you'll see what happens with keyword. It'll pop in here in a minute. It will say that it gets about 2,100 a month. People search guitar lessons near me, and the average cost per click is $3.46. And then it gives you all of these related keywords and what their cost would be and what things other people search for. I mean, it is just huge if you're building out your keyword library and using Google Ads. This is something I just cannot more highly recommend to anybody, but to go ahead and get this. And it is so cheap. So for $10, you get 10,000 credits, and one credit
100,000 credits.
100,000 credits, and one credit is one keyword. I bought that a long time ago, and if I look at my account here, I've still got 63,000 credits left. So it's a lot of credits, and it's really worth it, especially if you're doing AdWords and you're building them out. Highly recommend it. So I just wanted to bring that one back up. We haven't talked about it in a very long time, and it's a great application. So well worth the look.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything better for doing this, especially with Google. I mean, we've we've tried lots of different things over time, and this is just so slick. It even gives you a competition metric, which basically is an aggregate of how many different people spend, what are all their different budgets, right? So you can really decide like, hey, this is getting a lot of traffic and the cost per click looks okay, but the competition is almost as high as it could be. So is our ad even going to show up? Right? It'll show you trends on searches too. So you could see maybe one doesn't get a ton of searches right now, but it's trending up, and you could kind of claim your spot as number one there before the real traffic hits. Yeah. It's real slick.
It's great. You just can't go wrong. So anyway, if you're doing it, recommend this application. Give it a look. And then lastly, we have our tip and trick is how to convert a lead in Zoho CRM. This is actually part of an entire series of videos we're putting together. We talked about one earlier, but we've got our Zoho CRM guides, and really we've got a nice little playlist here, and we're starting to build up all of these Zoho CRM guides, and we have clearly been busy because we've actually got the new logo on all of them. So someone's been doing some updating of things today, which is pretty cool. So anyway, I really recommend go to our YouTube channel, check it out. And it's simple stuff. But at the same time, things we get asked all the time. How do I convert a lead? Why do I convert a lead? What does it mean? All those kind of things. So that's our tip of the week.
And a lot of those too, like for example, for how to convert a lead, are going to show little sections for the admin too. So you can see how to map your fields and kind of where everything's going to go once you convert one. So it's not quite a guide that's as quick as, go up here and click this button. We generally try to give a little bit more info around the why and the how, and kind of how to set things up properly when you're doing these processes.
And that is a wrap, my friend. Really appreciate everybody listening to the show. If you've got questions, you can reach us over at info@zenatta.com, or just head on over to the website and drop us a line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete show notes as well as links to all the stories that we discussed today. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us over on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.